I'm Mario Andretti, and you are listening to Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel.
Welcome inside the Wind Tunnel, your source for racing across America. I'm Lenny Baticki, this week on Wind Tunnel.
And Carlix as he swings low, now back high to turn 3 for the final time.
Marcus Ericsson is snaking around. Pato Ward and Tony Kanaan skulking with Felix Rosenquist.
It was enough by the small margins, but it was enough, and I'm incredibly proud of being able to pull it off.
Denny is not going to be happy about that.
35 back to the 2 and 1. The tower just said they think you made your point. You're right.
And we go green, and I drive into somebody. It's terrible.
Everything I've been putting so much time and effort in to try to improve my craft, and man, I'm out of breath right now. That was awesome.
And Sebastian Bourdais and Renger van der Zande, they win!
The Dinger has done it again. From the back to the front, A.J. Allmendinger wins the first Xfinity race at Portland International Raceway.
You know, cup racing is just there's so much technology in it now. So you have to make sure that you utilize everything that they've, given to you and do your job as a driver to maximize your weekend.
The Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, the last one at Belle Isle, is won by willpower.
It's huge, and guys like me and other teams wouldn't do what we do without that kind of stuff. So without that backing and without what Advanced Auto Parts does and some of these track sponsors is huge. That's what us racers do.
Wind Tunnel is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR. Here's your host, Jack Arute.
Hey there, welcome to yet another Wind Tunnel episode. I'm glad that you decided to stop by. Before I tell you about this week's episode, let's get you up to speed on all of the action from this past weekend. It all started on Saturday with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on the 1.25 mile Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois.
Corey Heim with the lead, the white flag. The next flag would end it. Got a crash in 4-2.
Eckes down the backstretch, and they have crashed in turn 2, and that will bring out the caution, and that will mean that Corey Heim is the winner.
All the dedication to my team these past couple weeks has been just everything I've been putting so much time and effort in to try to improve my craft, and man, I'm out of breath right now. That was awesome.
Then, about 2,000 miles to the west, the NASCAR Xfinity Series made their very first visit to Portland, Oregon in the Portland International Raceway, and it became a story of rain and redemption.
The rain's not going away. It's going to be an entertaining afternoon in Portland. First time ever for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Here we go in the Pacific Northwest.
Unfortunate start to the race for A.J. Allmendinger, who was already having issues before this race after practice and qualifying, guys.
Incredible ride for the 16, who turns 10, 11, and 12 for the final time. The Dinger has done it again. From the back to the front, A.J. Allmendinger wins the first Xfinity race at Portland International Raceway.
Oh my God. All the men and women at College Racing deserve that. I was awful. I cannot believe I crashed before we went green. I was off the racetrack, I think, 4 times. Made all kinds of mistakes. Was all over the place. But it's. Oh, sorry. We got to go race again tomorrow.
IMSA's WeatherTech Series shared the weekend bill at Detroit's Belle Isle Park, where Chip Ganassi's Cadillac team took the pole, and then the checkers.
The Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix is on, and a really good start too from the 10 of Ricky Taylor. He gets up the inside. It's Acura v Acura for that second spot.
Yeah, Blomqvist knew he's going to be in trouble there, but he takes advantage, runs it around the outside, around Ricky Taylor, but as Bourdais up front from the pole, solid start for him. Watch Durrani here. Does he send it at the last moment? He wants a step on that podium.
And Ollie Jarvis there, who's going to drive it home. But it is all the 01 Cadillac racing machine. This is scenes of Long Beach, California from earlier in the year, where they went from pole to victory lane. And Sebastian Bourdais and Renger van der Zande, they win here in the Motor City.
It's so hard to pass. It was fuel saving the whole time, especially since there were no yellows. Yeah, it was a lot about track position, and we had it, so we just had to make sure we kept it. And, we both did the job, and that's why we're here.
Sunday, the NTT IndyCar Series, bid farewell to the Belle Isle Street Course after a 30-year run. You see, next year the IndyCars moved to downtown Detroit, but this year it was all about Will Power, finally getting even for his disappointment of 1 year ago. But it wasn't easy for the Aussie from down under.
Do we see green? We sure do. And it's a kind of jumbled up field as Joseph Newgarden takes the green. But look at the rest of the pack. They're already a straightaway behind.
Now Rossi really has to get up on the wheel, use a bit of that push to pass on this outlap to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Let's look for Dixon.
There goes Rossi. Where's Scott Dixon? He should just be exiting turn 2. There's Dixon, orange and blue car. Rossi on cold tires.
Yeah, the leader Will Power coming down pit road. As you mentioned, Townsend going to have 20 laps on these alternate tires, and that will be the longest we've seen anyone run all day long.
Here comes Rossi.
This would need to be the most spectacular last lap you've ever seen. Down into turn 3.
Okay, that's the leader in front of you.
That's the leader in front of you. Go get him. Out of turn 13, out of turn 14, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. The last one at Belle Isle is won by Will Power. How about that? Chased all the way home.
Yes. Oh, God.
Man, great strategy, and I haven't been in that zone for a long time. It was like a special place I get into where I'm just hitting everything so perfectly, and it feels so good. This is amazing that I won this race. Like, I never expected it, so I think it's such a cool place. The podium is amazing, and I don't think there's a track like this around the world.
You heard Worldwide Technology Raceway's Curtis Francois on last week's wind tunnel as he talked about NASCAR's Cup Series' first ever appearance at his racetrack. And it turned out to be in front of a sellout crowd.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Green flag, and we're underway in the gateway to the west.
Track's hot, slick today.
And they're 3 wide. That's a heck of a combination. There's some ill will in Illinois. Broken toe link on Denny Hamlin after contact from Ross Chastain in turn 1.
Big time contact. Denny is not going to be happy about that.
35 back to the 2 and 1. As Howard just said, they think you've made your point. You're right.
And that puts a period on that.
Oh,
jeez.
What a double. It's a double on.
A double tag team.
It's the worst case scenario. Both cars you're wrecked. Stuck side by side to you. One still got to pass Denny.
And Denny's not giving him any room at all.
Now, you'll hear more from Ross Chastain in just a minute. But let's go back to the race, shall we? It looked like Kyle Busch had it in hand when a late caution caused an overtime restart.
Push me, brother. Push me. Hurt doesn't get the start that. No, he didn't. He needed.
Joey did.
And he's going to dive in front. Slide job. Moving up in front of him. Here goes the crossover. Kyle, will he get into him?
Inside 2, back both lanes behind. 45 minutes.
Going to see another slide job right here. Kyle Busch drives it way off into the corner. Logano needs it. Oh, he slid way up the track. Crossover coming.
And here comes Blaney.
And he's got a pusher right behind him. And sideways is Busch. Yeah, excuse me, Kyle's sideways loose. How about that restart? You knew it was going to be wild. Joey Logano. Those two were going for it. Joey did exactly what he needed to do.
Off turn 4, Joey Logano.
Yeah, nice job, dude.
The Penske Ford Mustang, a winner in St. Louis.
Louisiana, baby! Let's go! Yeah!
What a great car, though. Really fast, and we kind of messed up in qualifying, and Paul made a great call, putting 2 tires on. Blaney did a great job with the push down into 1, which kept me close at least and be able to make the move. So good racing there.
While Logano celebrated, Ross Chastain reflected on his performance and his run-ins on the track.
I owe half the field an apology, and words aren't going to fix it, so I'll have to pay for it on the track, and almost did today, and then I deserve everything that they do. I can't believe that I continue to make the same mistakes and overdrive the corners and drive into guys. I had time under caution to get reset, and we go green, and I drive into somebody. It's terrible.
There was also plenty of action on NASCAR's Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series tracks, and Lenny Baticki of PRN's At the Track filed this report.
Thanks a lot, Jack. This is your NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series report. We'll start in Arizona. Dylan Jones, the winner at Tucson Speedway. Jennerstown, Pennsylvania to Brandon Marhefka, while Doug Manmiller won at Grandview. I-80 in Nebraska to Jason Martin. Landon Simon got the big win at Lima Land in Ohio. All-American Speedway in California to Vito Cancilla. Brad Derry wins at Adams County in Iowa. Spencer Reef, the winner at Central Missouri. Meridian Speedway in Idaho to Riley Rogers. Now to 7 tracks with double features. Magic Valley Speedway at Idaho. Jonathan Gomez and Patrick Gold both got wins. Jerry DeGaspara and Richie Murray the same at Seacon Speedway in Massachusetts. Berlin Raceway at Marne, Michigan. Tyler Rasenga and Tim DeVos were winners. Matt Cox and Cade Brown got victories at Florence Motor Speedway in South Carolina. And Colorado National, Chad Cowan and Dan Alma were victorious. Alex Brock and Nick Leitz winners at Virginia's Dominion Raceway, while Kyle Dudley and Mike Looney split the wins at Motor Mile. Travis Wall wins at Langley, South Boston to Jacob Borch. Bowman Gray Stadium in North Carolina, that's where Jonathan Brown won, while Mitch Walker won at Hickory, and the win at Wake County to Brandon Clemens. Edmonton International Raceway in Alberta opened up over the weekend. Kevin Sokoluk ending up in victory lane. Kenny McNichol won at Grand Bend, while at Sunset it was Calvin Reeser. Chris Van Dyke a winner at Kingsport, Tennessee. At Salida High Banks it was Jalen Hardbarger. John Beatty a winner at Riverhead in New York. New Hampshire, Hudson Speedway to Billy Clement Jr. Cole Littlewood wins at Monadnock. And in Wisconsin, Lacrosse Fairgrounds to Michael Hager. Pat Dorr wins at Cedar Lake, and Madison International to Dave Edwards. That's your NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series report. Thanks for having us, Jack. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Lenny. This week, I've put together a group of guests that I think you will enjoy hearing from. 2 weeks ago, Marcus Ericsson captured the 106th running of the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indy 500. He thought he had the race won until a red flag stopped all the action and set up a mad dash to the checkered flag. I'll check in with Marcus to give you some behind-the-scenes analysis of the race itself, his post-race celebration, as well as how he and his manager blew off the King of Sweden's celebratory phone call. In this week's Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap segment, you'll meet a New England modified racer who is chasing his very first track championship, as well as a state title and a 5-race modified series championship called the Whitcomb 5. Tyler Leary calls Monadnock Speedway home and has already taken down 3 checkered flags there. When we hooked up, we got Tyler's take on his season as well as his goals for the rest of this year and beyond. And finally, Christopher Bell swings by, and we chat about his season so far at Joe Gibbs Racing. So, let's light this candle, okay? First up, this week's Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap guest, Tyler Leary, and that is coming your way next.
Hey, car lovers. At Advanced Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advanced Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advanced Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advanced Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
Man, this is for all those guys. There's a ton of them out there that are like me, that have won here and all these great short tracks around here. We can do it. We just need the opportunities. Today proved it. Yeah, it's a short track, but it's still damn hard to win here, and we did it.
They are hometown heroes, drivers who put their passion on the line in front of their friends.
Here we go, 3 wide, got Sellers up into marble.
Halfway home in this one. Off turn 4, he heads for the checkered flag.
Here comes Riggs. Riggs is back at it on the inside.
Buckle up and hold on tight.
Time now to focus the spotlight on hometown heroes with this week's Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap. Brought to you by the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series, driving local racing in local communities forward.
Well, taking the victory lap this week is a young man that started at a fairly early age. At least I noticed him at a fairly early age when he first set out to pursue his racing career. And now he's moved to the Mod Squad full time. We're talking about Tyler Leary, who at this point in the 2022 Advance Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Racing Series national standings for the state of New Hampshire is at the top of the heap. Tyler, I believe that's the very first time that you've led those standings, and you've put together a pretty impressive run in the Nestra Modified so far in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's going really good, and it's all due to having great people behind me and having a great backing and people that love the sport just as much as I do. So definitely couldn't do it all without all those people. There's just so many. I could sit here all night and name them all, but they all contribute. And we're happy to be on top of the New Hampshire state standings now. And we've kind of just been peeking at that every once in a while. And, it helps running both cars, our car and Brian Barnard's modified for the Whitcomb 5 events and the Cup events as well. So we're happy to be doing that. We're happy with how our Monadnock year is going so far. And, we're just constantly learning and trying to make ourselves faster.
Constantly learning. So for a young man like you, what has that constantly learning process been like? What's the biggest thing you've learned?
In my 10 or 11 years of racing, I always kind of just left it up to chassis guys and Brian Barnard and Bob Phil. And so many people have helped me along the way. But, I've been telling everyone this. I've learned more in the last year or two of my racing career than I have in my entire, years of racing. And it's just paying attention to what we're doing, taking notes and trying to figure stuff out myself. And, we still use Bob Phil and Brian Barnard, and it's you still need chassis help. But as far as a driver, knowing seat of the pants feel and knowing what your race car is doing is highly important in relaying those symptoms and all that. So I feel like I've learned so much in the shop and on the racetrack the last year or two that it's huge to my racing career and how far I've come in the past 10 years for sure.
Tyler, I'm very interested in how your romance with the modified started, because let's face it, that is a racecraft that really can trace its beginnings here in the Northeast specifically. So who inspired you to decide to get out of a full-bodied stock car and decide to tackle the open wheels and the ground pounders?
I don't know if any one particular person inspired me. It's hard to say that anyone even did inspire me to do it. I guess it was kind of starting in full-bodied racing when I was younger, kind of just following my dad's footsteps. We had a better background with full thunder racing, and we knew a lot more about it at that point. So, doing that for years and going to all these racetracks like Stafford and Monadnock and watching these modifieds, it blew my mind. And I'm like, God, these are just amazing race cars. They're 2 inches off the ground. They make a ton of horsepower, and how could you not want to drive one? So that was kind of my whole thing, is like someday, I thought to myself years back, I'm like, that's where I want to be someday. I want to be racing modifieds. And that's kind of what we aimed our focus towards and what we've been doing ever since. So.
Well, you've kind of given me a little bit of an indication. I hope my listeners can appreciate it. The rush that you get when you sit in one of those open wheeled modifieds. But how about for Tyler Leary? Has it been a difficult transition in terms of what you have to utilize as your strong points as a driver? Because let's face it, with that full-bodied background, you can't go in rubbing isn't racing when you talk about the Mod Squad.
No, definitely not. And, I'll tell you what, this is, I started in the SKs at Stafford, which is obviously you're basically getting thrown to the wolves there. But, I've learned a lot, but I'm still nowhere near where I want to be, and it is modified racing is the toughest racing in the country. And like you said, you have to utilize, parts and pieces that you can't be rubbing people like you do in fendered racing. And I found that to be very difficult so far. And, we've had some success up north and still learning in Connecticut, but yeah, it is a whole different ball game when it comes to modified racing, and learning that kind of craft and learning to pass with open wheels is like no other. And it's still a task that I'm trying to accomplish, honestly. So
one of the interesting things is the emergence of the New Hampshire area in terms of modified racing. You've got the Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Racing Series at places like Monadnock, et cetera, that you're chasing a state title with. But then there's also the quest for the Cup Series and the Whitcomb 5 Series that pays a cash bonus for 5 selected races, extra distance ones. Is all of a sudden modified racing starting to blossom and gain more fans and better attended events in the Granite State of New Hampshire?
I really hope so. And there's a bunch of people to thank for that too, yourself and the Whitcomb family, Greg and his wife, Jessica, and just all the track owners and partners in the New Hampshire area for that. But, it's constantly growing. I'm glad to see it. We'd like to have strong car counts, to just, get fans in the stands and have someone for these little kids to cheer on and all that kind of stuff. But, there's definitely a bunch of special stuff going on right now in the New Hampshire area, as you said, with the Cup events and the Whitcomb 5 and just a ton of stuff going on all different kinds of levels. But I mean, you look at any of the tracks in New Hampshire and you look at their schedules, there's big modified events all over the place. So definitely cool to see. And I hope it continues and we can grow it and make it bigger each and every year.
Well, you realize if you do win that state championship, there's a nice piece of cash, a check that comes from Advanced Auto Parts. If you win the Monadnock title, another big chunk of change from Advanced Auto Parts. The reason I bring it up, Tyler, is everybody wants to just kind of ignore the fact that money buys speed. And quite honestly, how fast you absolutely want to go. Well, you don't have the well-heeled sponsors that, let's say, a Kevin Harvick or a Bush brother has at the ultimate level. Instead, what you've got is supporters that may be buying you some tires, taking care of the gas bill. So how important is it to have the financial backing from a great company like Advanced Auto Parts?
It's huge, and guys like me and other teams wouldn't do what we do without that kind of stuff. So without that backing and without like what Advanced Auto Parts does and some of these track sponsors is huge. I mean, that's what us racers do. We chase the money and it shows with a series like Tri Track and places, that have these big money races. They always fill the field and, some send cars home, and that's what the racer does. It's hard to break even in the sport sometimes. So, any financial help you can get and running for that kind of extra cash is always appreciated and definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
Explain to me the passion that's required to do it week in and week out, 1, 2, 3 nights a week, and then hold down a 9 to 5 type job and have a family and then be able to carve out time to also get those darn cars ready. Can you define the governing passion that allows you to go out and chase a dream like this?
It is, honestly, even talking about it gives me goosebumps, but it is a passion like no other. And it's hard to explain to someone who isn't in the game or doesn't fully understand it. And I tell people that all the time. They look at you and, oh, you're crazy. How could you spend that much time on a car? It's like, well, if you were here by my side doing it with me, you'd fully understand. And it's crazy. It's 2 to 3 nights a week on the weekend racing these cars. And then it's 2 to 3 nights in the shop during the week, preparing them, getting them ready and, preparing them to be front running, winning race cars. And highly important to me to spend the time, look things over, make sure we're not going to have parts or mechanical failures and that kind of thing. And, it's nuts. You have to be in the game to understand it, or you have to have that same burning passion as I do to be a crew member or be on the team and that kind of thing. And it's funny because actually just a little side story here is that a buddy of mine who comes up every Tuesday night to help with the cars had his uncle called him last night, and he's just getting into go-karting and getting his feet wet, and his uncle's like, oh, don't you ever get sick of that? And he's going on and on. No, I could never get sick of it. And his uncle goes, well, what are you doing right now? He goes, I'm at Tyler's race shop working on racing. He goes, crazy. You guys are nuts. And it is. We're crazy. I think some would consider it a mental illness. Well,
you've heard me say this before. It is the only legalized narcotic in the United States for which there is absolutely zero cure.
It is. It is. That app is, and once it's in your blood, good luck. That's all I got to say. So, once you start, it's like a trap. It just pulls you in further and further, and it seems there's no way out. But that's fine. We spend the time, and like you said, you have the burning passion and determination, and there's a lot of ups and downs. You have to have a lot of perseverance too, but you just keep digging, you keep working on the cars, and my big thing is you just keep showing up, and eventually your time will come. And it's proved in the New Hampshire area that we've gotten to that point. We can run up front, and I'm still learning the Connecticut area. You got really stiff competition, and trying to compete with some of these guys, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time and effort on everyone's part. So,
hey, I'm interested. Growing up, any other sport other than motorsports?
I don't know, I wouldn't consider myself a high school jock or anything, but I kind of played whatever sport I could, I guess, whatever.
Yeah. You did that to get the girls. Don't kid me.
Yeah, no. It was kind of one of those things, we just, my buddies did it. And so I played baseball and basketball and football, and I golfed and did all of it. And it wasn't until I sat behind the wheel of a race car that I truly found what I loved.
So what's the end game for Tyler Leary for 2022? Track title at Monadnock, other track titles. What's on your bucket list that you want to check off when we drop the final checkered flag in sometime in late September?
You hear so many guys say, "Oh, we're running for a championship," and I hate to talk like that. I really do. I try to stay humble and just go out and run the fastest and the best we can every week, and points will take care of themselves. My dad, who is a huge mentor of mine, has always told me that you can't focus on points all year long. You go out, you prepare the race cars, and you go out and you try to win as many races as you can every year, and don't even look at the points picture. So moving forward, that's kind of what we're doing in our car and in the Barnard race cars number 2 for the Whitcomb events and the Cup races. Is we go out, we make the car as fast as we can, and points will take care of themselves. Racing is very tough. It's it can come full circle. You can have a terrible year where nothing goes right, or you could have a really good year where everything goes right. So it's tough. We go out every week, and, drive my tail off, and that's the best we can hope for.
All of us here in the United States, in fact, across the globe, are suffering with the economy the way it is, with the supply chain issues that we're dealing with. So for my listeners, let me see if I can help them better understand just what a monumental challenge it is to do this week by week by week for someone at your level. What are you paying for a gallon of racing gas in 2022?
It's up near $14 a gallon now, and it's on the rise too, and that's only for 98 octane. The 110 we use in the SK modifieds is roughly the same, maybe a little bit more, but last week it just went up another 50 cents a gallon. It's on the rise. Tires are at an all-time high. And
yeah, how much for a new right rear skin?
$200 a tire.
My gosh.
No, it's crazy. And heading into the 2022 season, our SK modified it was kind of just a chasing parts game. And we built it, but we assembled it. It was completely stripped and powder coated, and assembling it was an absolute nightmare. It was wait for this, wait for that. We got 8 rims just in time for open practice at Stafford. I think 2 or 3 days before open practice, we found rims. So, it's the supply chain issues definitely are not helping competitors or the sport at this point. And like you said, diesel fuel just to get to the track for our hauler, that's, we got another last weekend. We had a triple header, Stafford Friday, Monadnock Saturday, and Hudson Speedway on Sunday. And we got another one coming up this Sunday. So that's a $200-$300 bill in the hauler, for diesel fuel. And, it's tough just to make ends meet. So like you said earlier, people like Advanced Auto Parts and NASCAR, all the track sponsors that just go out of their way to keep this sport alive is, truly appreciated.
Certainly is not a sport for the faint of heart in the pocketbook. Hey, Tyler, I know you're busy on weekends, but you're like me, you're like your fans, you're like the guys that work on the car with you. We're all race fans. So when you turn your attention to NASCAR's premier level, or you turn your attention to Formula One or to IndyCar, what's your takeaway when you watch those cats Are they doing anything any different than Tyler Leary and your peers are doing at Monadnock or Hudson or Lee or in the Whitcomb 5 Series?
I don't know. It's tough to say, I don't know. It's not like I don't watch Formula One or NASCAR, because I do, but it's hard to take away. Like, we've put money in perspective already, and it's a whole different ball game when it comes to like sponsorship and that kind of thing. So,
well, my background stretches across the globe, from the local short tracks that I so love, all the way to the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix. You name it, I've covered it. I'm going to share with you what I've told others. When it comes down to the brass tacks, strip away whether it's a Mercedes engine or, a Ford Mustang next-gen car, the cats that strap themselves into these chariots are no different than you are. They know that they've got to put it all on the line and test themselves, not only physically, but mentally. So don't ever lose sight of the fact that you're no different than Kevin Harvick, Max Verstappen, or Marcus Ericsson, who just won the Indy 500. You're racers, true and true, in and out. And you should be very proud of that. I know I am proud to consider you one of my friends, and do appreciate your visiting with us here on the Wind Tunnel. And good luck the rest of the season. I kind of got my crystal ball out, and I think there may be just maybe one track title and probably a state title in Tyler Leary's future too.
I appreciate that, Jackie. And, I appreciate you having us here on the Wind Tunnel. I appreciate everything you do for the sport as well. And, we look forward to the rest of the 2022 season, and high hopes moving forward, and hopefully lots more checkered flags to go.
Great job. Continued success, my friend.
Thanks.
You've been listening to the Advance Auto Parts Victory Lap, brought to you by the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series, driving local racing in local communities forward. Next here on Wind Tunnel.
So that's metal on metal under braking. Joey Logano.
Man, it's same block. Christopher Bell is there.
And in his 38th start, good job. Christopher Bell scores his first career win, and it comes on the Daytona Road Course.
Oh my God.
I'll check in with the pride of Norman, Oklahoma, Christopher Bell. Yeah.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
By a car length plus. Christopher Bell, 52.927. That's 23.1. That's a quarter of a second.
Next up here on Wind Tunnel is my guest, Christopher Bell, who has certainly shown strength this season for Joe Gibbs Racing. Winning poles, running well, but Christopher, I want to go back to the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. You were up front, then you were out back, then you scratched and clawed your way back to a 5th place finish. Was that the longest and toughest race of your career?
I can confirm it was that long. That was definitely the longest race I've ever been a part of, and as it turns out, the longest race any of us have been a part of.
Indeed. Well, where do you feel at first? You finished stage 2, and they remind you got 2 more stages to go.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me was my knees. My knees just got cramped up, and I just wanted to stand. I wanted to stand and walk around. I kept trying to straighten out my legs, but there's just not enough room in there.
When you look at the performance of the car, what were you lacking? What did you need, Christopher, in the end?
Looking at the performance of our Yahoo Camry, we didn't need anything. We had everything that we needed to win, except some pit road misfortune. And the reason why we didn't win is because we couldn't manage pit road.
I've talked to a lot of teams, and with this new Unilug and everybody trying to squeeze as much time and shave as much time as possible, the margin for error is certainly something that all the teams have to deal with. And when you've got a long race like that, the potential for other issues certainly, exponentially increases just because of the number of times that you're on pit road. A lot of people don't realize that it's not a moment for you to rest when you come down to pit road. You got your lap in, your lap out. You don't want to get pinched for speeding. But then once you get inside the box, you damn well better be on your toes as well, because I've seen a lot of drivers perform a miscue quite simply because somebody dropped the jack prematurely.
Yeah, I mean, the pit road stuff is very, very high pressure because everybody is just trying to get every bit of time that they can out of it. So and they keep making the pit stop shorter too. So before we used to have 12 seconds, and now I think we're down to 9 or something like that. So the pit stops get shorter. You just have to make sure that you're on your game and ready to go.
This past weekend, you and your cohorts raced at the Worldwide Technology Raceway in the shadow of the St. Louis Arch for the first time. What was that experience like?
It's definitely a very, very unique racetrack because turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are completely different. So it has a little bit of Phoenix vibes to it, but the track is pretty flat, and it's got new pavement on it too.
Well, at least at Worldwide Technology Raceway, you had a 1-hour practice session to acquire knowledge about the track. But the majority of this season, you've had only 15 minutes of practice before it's time to go qualify.
Yeah, I mean, those 15-minute practice sessions are basically no different than pit stop adjustments. So I think you can only have 2 tires off the ground at one time, so you can't put the car on jack stands. It makes you're crunched on time, so it's very hard if you want to change a spring. I don't even really think you can do that because there's not enough time.
Do you go in and what I call split it so that you can build as much information as possible amongst the remaining JGR drivers? Do each of you have a yellow legal pad with check this box, check that one, and then we'll all gather together and see how we move forward as individuals?
No, I don't think so. We all kind of do our own thing, and for sure you have to look at each other's notes and see what they learned and stuff. But for the most part, we'll go do our own thing, and then if we see that one car is really fast and the other ones aren't, you'll definitely head in that direction. But we don't go in there having a checklist of you do this and I'll do that.
Christopher, when you started coming up through the ladder, you were a world beater, but you were beating the world by the seat of your pants. Now you've got to bury your butt not only in the seat, but you've also got to pour over so much damn data. The advent of SMT and engineers and steering traces and all that goes with it. Was that easy for you to gather that skill set, or was that something that took a little time to adjust to?
It was definitely an adjustment period. It's been very, cup racing is just there's so much technology in it now. So you have to make sure that you utilize everything that they've, given to you and do your job as a driver to maximize your weekend.
And yet the teams have to rely on you to give them the information. And I always try to remind myself of what it must be like when you start to feel a vibration. And they keep telling you, well, no, everything looks good. We got the wheel on, yada, yada, yada. And the vibration gets worse and worse and worse. And then they leave it up to you. It's almost as if, they don't want to call you in. They want you to have the ultimate say. And yet, I would think now and again when that happens and you're inside the car, you want to say, look, you guys got the data. I'm just telling you what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trust that goes on, that's for sure.
The
teams have to trust the driver, that the driver's giving them the right information. And then the flip side, you have to trust the crew chief that they're going to give you what you need in the car.
To me, it's a fascinating relationship, interaction, and anybody that says that auto racing isn't a team sport just doesn't get it. You were raised and bred with an understanding of, running midgets and sprint cars, etc. And when you look at the Indianapolis 500, and it seems as if we are opening the door just a little bit for young drivers such as yourself to at least entertain the possibility of doing a double somewhere down the road, what would that mean to you?
Yeah, that would be a dream come true, man. The Indy 500 is such a spectacle and such a, an amazing, prestigious race. So I hope that one day I get the opportunity to do it. But we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I think, as I say, the outlook, I think, is much brighter than it has been in the past. And certainly we see the performance of old 7-time, and boy, just 1/8 of an inch mistake. And he did finally win the Rookie of the Year. So I've always said this, you know about the Marcus Ericssons of the world. The Marcus Ericssons know about you and the Joe Gibbs Racing Team. The mutual respect as drivers that you all have. You stay up on all forms of racing, correct?
Yeah, I try to. I try and watch IndyCar and F1 whenever I can, and obviously all the dirt stuff I keep really close tabs on.
How important is it for you to, like Larson, to continue to go slideways and get out on the dirt all the time to hone your craft?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I enjoy doing, and I think it helps keep you sharp too. So hopefully I can continue to do that in the future.
Are you happy with where the team is right now heading into the second half of the season?
Yeah, I'm super happy with me and Adam Stevens, my engineers, my mechanics. I think this 20 group is doing a great job bringing really fast cars to the track. We've been able to win a couple poles, and we're knocking on the door of wins. So we just got to put it all together whenever we get into the race, and I think we'll have many opportunities to win.
Continued success for you and the entire organization, and we appreciate you visiting with us today.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you later.
Next up on Wind Tunnel.
Quiet Swede quietly has made his way to the front and now a half a lap away from winning his very first Indianapolis 500. 8 car lengths as he swings low, now back high to turn 3 for the final time.
Marcus Ericsson is snaking around. Pato Ward and Tony Kanaan skulking with Felix Rosenquist.
I'll visit with this year's Indianapolis 500 champion, Marcus Ericsson, after these messages.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
He's doused in milk. He has the victory wreath around his neck, and he's got a big old lipstick stain on his right cheek, holding up the number 1 index finger on his right hand. It's your new Indianapolis 500 champion, Marcus Ericsson.
Welcome back to your podcast home for motorsports conversation, Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel. Here's your host, Jack Arute.
Well, it's been a wild week and a half for my next guest. He piloted his Husky Chocolate Chip Ganassi Honda to the victory in the 106th running of the Indy 500. And then crisscrossed the United States on a media publicity tour that finally ended when he got to Detroit this past weekend, where he finished 7th in the Detroit Grand Prix. He's Marcus Ericsson, and he joins me here in the wind tunnel. So, Marcus, how's your voice, my friend?
My voice is barely there. Let's put it that way. It's been, like you said, from the checkered flag to till now. It's been pretty much every minute of it has been full with different commitments and stuff to do.
Tell me what's been the best part of your Indy 500 win.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm still sort of trying to get my head around that it actually happened. Like it's still unreal to me, and I'm still sort of pinching myself and thinking, is this like, am I still dreaming, or is this real? But no, I think to answer your question, I think the whole thing, it's so much traditions and so much, I remember the emotions when I realizing that I've won the biggest race in the world. All my life, I've been dreaming about a moment like that, worked so hard to experience that moment. And that was just that explosion of emotions. And then I think the fact that I had my family there, you know, my mom and dad, my brother, my girlfriend, my backer who's been with me since I was 15, my manager, I had all those people there. And, you know, coming to victory lane, seeing them in tears, you know, seeing the Ganassi team, my engineer, Brad Goldberg, seeing all their, you know, how much it meant for everyone, and to share it with all those people that I care so much about and love so much. That was, you know, that's for me the strongest part of it, I think.
Well, you could see the joy in all of the people that have supported you. My question to you is, Marcus, is did your girlfriend make it back in time to take her final exams? I think she's got a suitable excuse to maybe wait.
She's right here next to me in New York, and her exams are being done in August. So she, like you said, she have a very good excuse to why it's not happening. And if someone is doubting her, they can just log on to any, you know, social media or whatever and see the proofs. So it was funny. She had the flight, you know, Monday to go back to Copenhagen to do her exams, and yeah, that's not happening.
I want to go back to the final stages of the race. You took the lead, and then all of a sudden, the yellow flag comes out, and then it goes to a red flag. Just tell me who talked you off the ledge while you were sitting there, anticipating that you're going to have to do that move all over again, or you may be the guy that didn't win the Indy 500.
Yeah, it was extremely tough. You know, I did that last pit sequence really good. The guys in the pits did a fantastic job, and I came out and the car was so fast, and I managed to pass Patu and Felix and just pull away, you know, and open that gap of 3 seconds. And, you know, I had the race covered then. It was less than 15 to go. I was counting down the laps. The car felt amazing. And I was just praying that please, no caution.
This Husky Chocolate Honda is flying.
Oh, crash. Jimmy Johnson in the wall. And this could change everything.
Marcus Ericsson's teammate, Jimmy Johnson. This will bring out the yellow with 6 to go.
Like you said, turns into a red flag.
Red flag. Whoa. Red flag. This changes the game totally.
And I was sitting there in pit lane, and I was almost losing it because I was really upset that it happened.
Marcus, I'm glad you didn't hear or overhear the conversations that my partner TK was having.
TK, how you doing? It's ready to pass 2 cars on the last lap and win this freaking thing.
I like that plan.
Done it before. We have nothing to lose, so I'm gonna go for it.
We all agree on the timing stand with that plan. And we would expect nothing less.
You know, I had Mike O'Gara, my strategist, and Brad Goldberg, my race engineer. Both of them came on the radio and was like, "You're the man. This is your day. Just do what you do. This is, you know, you got this. You got this." And they really helped me get my head sort of back in the game. And then I just sort of, you know, I got into the zone again and just said to myself, really, like, this is the biggest race in the world. It's not supposed to be easy. And this is just another challenge I need to overcome to be, you know, really, truly the champion of the Indianapolis 500. So I made up a plan in my head. I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Green flag is in the air of the starter. They are at speed, and Marcus Ericsson trying to move around to disrupt that air. He gets to the start-finish line first.
He got a nice jump. Pato O'Ward's going to take a look to the inside, but Marcus Ericsson is too strong. Felix Rosenquist is side-by-side with Kanaan for third, but Ericsson's the leader into 2.
And Kanaan will clear Rosenquist. Felix Rosenquist still in that 4th position. Marcus Ericsson, Pato O'Ward, Tony Kanaan, they're your top 3. They're swerving back and forth down the back straightaway.
Marcus Ericsson trying to disrupt that air. Pato O'Ward going to try to go to the inside of him. Not able to do so in turn number 3. Marcus Ericsson headed towards the white flag, Chris.
Short shoot on the north side. Marcus Ericsson, a 3-car length advantage on Pato O'Ward. They lead turn 4.
And the white flag flies on the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Pato O'Ward to the high side and wide.
He jumps to the outside. They go wheel to wheel, but Pato has to jump out of the throttle. Marcus Ericsson leads to the short shoot.
The quiet Swede quietly has made his way to the front and now a half a lap away from winning his very first Indianapolis 500. 8-car lengths as he swings low, now back high to turn 3 for the final time.
Marcus Ericsson is snaking around. Pato O'Ward and Tony Kanaan are skulking with Felix Rosenquist. Marcus Ericsson with a 5-car length advantage, and the caution flag has come out due to an incident in turn number 2, Mark.
Yellow flag is out with Marcus Ericsson in front, Davey Hamilton.
Marcus Ericsson was going to win this race anyways. He did just what he had to do. Unbelievable job that he did on that restart, keeping Pato O'Ward behind him. Checkers are out. Ericsson's your winner.
Marcus Ericsson flies under the twin checkers, and he has achieved racing immortality. He wins the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
But it was enough by the smallest of margins, but it was enough. And I'm incredibly proud of being able to pull it off.
I got to ask you, who were you more worried about on that restart? Pato O'Ward or your teammate at CGR, Tony Kanaan?
I was happy it was not TK in my mirrors when I did that restart. I tell you that. I mean, all the respect to Pato. He's an incredible driver and so fast. But yeah, that TK guy, he's an animal, especially on those restarts. So yeah, it was a good thing. It was not him.
It was interesting to watch both you and TK in the first 3 quarters of the race. You both stayed in sight of the leaders, but neither of you really contested for the lead. So tell me a little bit about your strategy in the first 3 quarters of that event.
Yeah, I think it's funny, like you say, and it is so true. We did exactly the same thing in that race, and it could have been either one of us that had won that race, because I think, like you said, we did the whole thing, and I was just, I had my game plan, and again, we've been working so well together. Me and TK, we talked a lot last year, and I learned so much from TK and from my other teammates, of course, as well. But I think, me and TK, we talked a lot last year and this year as well, and I think he probably regrets some of that now. But no, it was funny because, like I said, I we were together all race, and I was just, my plan was, the first 150 laps, I'm just going to sit in the top 5 or around the top 5, look after my car, look after my tires, look after the fuel numbers, making sure I knew how to make the fuel numbers if I needed later in the race, take zero risk, just run, good in and out of the pits, and just position myself, because I knew I had a car that was possible to win that race, but I knew I had to be there for the last stint and a half. So that was, my whole game plan, and I was so happy I could follow that all the way. In the end, when it was end of the second to last stint, I started to go full attack, and then the last stint, it was just all in for the win. And I think it was clear that the McLaren boys, they got a bit shocked with me and TK and the speed we had there, because we had not shown our hand until that end of the race, and I think that really shocked them and the other guys up front. The cool thing that I feel with this year's month of May is just that team spirit that we had in Chip Ganassi Racing, or that we have, that we were 5 cars and either one of us 5 could have won that race. I truly feel like we had 5 race winning cars in that race, and that's just incredible. And it says so much about the organization, and also that, atmosphere between us 5 drivers. It's just, I've never experienced that before. And the way we pushed for each other and helped each other out there. And I knew before that race, one of us was going to win that race. I just knew it. And I'm, of course, so happy and proud it was me in the end, but it was a true team effort.
I thought for a moment there it was going to be 1st through 5th.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been.
It could have been. Very, very easily could have been. Listen, the one thing that you have ensured is that forever you're going to be known as the Sneaky Sweet.
Yeah.
The way you played your game, I knew you would. The first and only, until you, Marcus, driver from your country, and I ran into him, in fact, race morning, was Kenny Brack. After Kenny Brack won his race, while AJ Foyt sat fuming in his golf cart, the King of Sweden called Kenny, and I was dispatched to tell AJ that Kenny was going to be a couple of minutes because the King of Sweden was on, and he said, "The King, I don't care who it is. You tell my driver that the King of Texas is tired and is going to the garage." My question is, have you gotten a phone call from the King of Sweden?
So it's funny. My main backer on my career, Finn, he knows the King of Sweden, and I've met the King of Sweden a couple of times, and so yeah, Finn there after the race, he was at the celebrations and everything, enjoying the moment, and there was this one number they kept calling him, and he was like, just pushed it away. And then the next day, that same number kept calling him on like Monday. And he's like, eventually picked up and he's like, hello, we're from the King's office. I'm the assistant here, and the King would like to talk to you and talk to Marcus. And then he was like, oh shit. So, but we had a very nice message, and, you know, he was sending his regards and how happy he was to see me win. So he's a huge motorsport fan, and it's an honor, you know, that to get those greetings from the King of Sweden.
Hey, Marcus, I appreciate your swinging by the wind tunnel today, and I salute you because from this day forward, you will forever be known as an Indianapolis 500 champion. Good luck the rest of the season, and thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you, brother.
It's time to put a lid on this week's show, and that's exactly what we will do after we take this time out.
Hey, car lovers! At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
So, another wind tunnel chapter is in the books, and I want to send out a thank you to my guests. New Hampshire's NASCAR Home Tracks State Championship leader, Tyler Leary, Joe Gibbs Toyota driver, Christopher Bell, and, of course, the 2022 Indianapolis 500 champion, Marcus Ericsson. This weekend, both NASCAR and IndyCar go road courses, with NASCAR at Sears Point and IndyCar at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America. Rest assured, though, that the action from those two venues will be a part of next week's Wind Tunnel, and I hope that you'll swing by. Until then, I'm Jack Arute, and this is Wind Tunnel.
You've been listening to Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel. Wind Tunnel is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And be sure to subscribe to Wind Tunnel's YouTube channel, where you'll discover bonus content. I'm Lenny Baticki of Performance Racing Network's At the Track Show, saying thank you for joining us today. See you again next week.